You mean I'm right?
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
There's always Barber College.
Good evening. Welcome to the Steelers Sanctuary Podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman. I'm joined tonight by David Korb, David Barrow, and Zach Franciscus. Bob Quinn will be joining us shortly. How are you guys doing this evening?
Pretty good.
Everybody good? Well, I think we should jump right into the kind of news that you will that broke today. There was a report that came out on Twitter from Andrew Filipponi that Ryan Burr, who is a Florida sports reporter who covers primarily basketball and golf, said that the Steelers reached out to the Jaguars expressing an interest in making a deal, a trade for Trevor Lawrence. Immediately, like all the Steelers inside reporters were like, that didn't happen. That's not real. The Jaguars supposedly said that never happened. That's not real. I listened to the guy that made the original report, Burr, and he said that he thinks he maybe shouldn't have phrased it in a way that it sounded like what would it take, because he thinks it was just like kicking the tires call like a GM might make, leave no stone unturned. But I'm curious, Dave, what did you think when you heard this? Good idea, bad idea?
Well, I loved it. I mean, this is I was all in for like 3 hours until people started shitting on the story, and then everything came out. I was like all excited. I text Bob. I'm like, "You live in Jacksonville? Don't you know anybody? Find something out for me." But
you didn't like what I found out.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it's encouraging that they're making calls like this, and then it's not, settling for Justin Fields or
I think that's the right attitude to have
right?
here. You know what I mean? Like that seems like a new thing with Omar Khan to really be a little more aggressive.
If he's making calls, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, Trevor Lawrence wasn't going to get traded. I mean, I thought there might have been a chance, but when you look at the cap hit and they don't really have anybody else, it wasn't going to happen. But good for them for kicking the tires, and maybe somebody else will be available when they call, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's back to effort. I like to see effort. It's great.
Yeah.
I thought it was in. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, considering the timing, it's the off season. You know that you work in the NFL. You know people read your tweets. You have a chance to look over your tweet after you have written it. I'm not saying he meant to cause the uproar that happened, but to me, I'm like, is it wrong for me to want a little more journalistic responsibility on that one before you get the entire Steeler franchise on all of us freaked out for 3 hours and you divide us because half don't want half? That was my only frustration with it. So I had other stuff going on, so I didn't really notice what was going on until it was already debunked. But that was my only frustration with it, that it caused that uproar unnecessarily.
Yeah, and Mr. Tummy asked about this. Is there a no trade clause, and isn't there no GM in the building? And yeah, both of those things are true. So for Lawrence to come to Pittsburgh, he would have to also want to do that. Yeah. And I'm assuming they have somebody. I forget what they said it was, but the reporter, that Burr guy that broke that story, said there is somebody that's handling GM duties.
It's the coach, because he's got a lot of power there now, because they fired the GM just to get him. So he's in charge over there. If he wants to make a trade, they can make a trade without a GM. He's going to handpick the GM anyway, so that wasn't the issue.
Relic's right.
It happens every season. I mean, God, there's somebody breathes, and then it's I think he's coming to Pittsburgh.
Oh, he's going to be a ton of rumors.
I think it's important to note, too, that in fairness to Burr, and Yahoo pointed this out, he, within the article, stated that he was guessing at the compensation. I don't doubt maybe somebody said, hey, man, somebody called the Jaguars about Lawrence. It was the Steelers. I don't doubt that happened, but Pony kind of ran with this a little too aggressively, in my opinion. So.
Shocker. So shocked.
I said, though, that I'm sure, I was talking to my husband about it tonight, and I said, I'm sure every team fields a million calls every offseason, because if you don't put it out there that you're interested, how do they know you're interested? So I can imagine how many calls the Steelers get every year about TJ Watt. The answer is no, we're not interested in trading him, but the Dallas Cowboys want you to know that if you were going to, they might be willing to make a deal. And so that way, if something did change in your situation, you can say, well, the Cardinals called us earlier about him. We could call them and see what they think or something like that. So I feel like those calls happen all the time. So, but I think I agree with Bob that Pony inflated that like he tends to do and kind of ran with that story. I don't blame the guy that reported it. I don't think he has a dog in the fight one way or the other. I think he's sharing a rumor he heard.
He doesn't, Leanne. I mean, Burr literally said, like, look, I'm a golf and basketball guy. I haven't done football stuff in 15 fucking years.
Yeah.
Like,
and he said, I'm not a Steelers reporter or a Jaguars reporter.
Right.
So
he's like, why would I? He goes, I have a friend. He said, hey, this happened. So I just said, oh, wow. I got, and then it was so funny because Kaboli, automatically shit on it, right? And then Chris Mueller, I don't know if you heard Chris Mueller. Mueller goes, I think the Steelers lied to Kaboli. I'm like, we got the days of our lives over at the Steelers headquarters with them lying.
It's a super sensitive topic, right? It's like you're talking about a franchise quarterback, so of course everyone's going to deny.
Right.
No one's going to come out and admit that any conversation happened. They're all going to protect their asses. So it's not a shocker.
A good point. This came up on Pony and Muller's show this afternoon too. He says that he feels like the Steelers making a call about a guy like Lawrence tells me they're not confident with Fields at quarterback and that Russ is not coming back. So Mueller asked on his show tonight, they had Bob Pompiani on this evening, and they asked Pomp if he believes, since Mike Tomlin always reported how much he loved Justin Fields, like in the draft year, that if he'd been there when they were going to draft, if they were up higher, they would have taken him. They loved Justin Fields. And that was the same season that Lawrence was drafted. So he said this makes him feel like the fact that you're going after Trevor Lawrence means this guy you once coveted over Lawrence, you don't feel that way about anymore. And Pompiani said he thinks you're reading way too much into it, that Tomlin has always expressed that he has a lot of respect and admiration for Lawrence and that he has more talent than what has been able to be shown in Jacksonville.
I think it was interesting this morning. If you happen to be listening to the Starkey and Pomp show right after the news broke, they kind of went into this little, okay, let's play a game. Who would you want to trade for? And Starkey was really, he's a huge fan of Kyler Murray. I don't know if I agree with that, but he's like, with us sitting here talking about Kyler Murray, is the Pony in Arizona going to jump on the Steelers are trading for Kyler Murray?
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. People, it's the off season. It's slow. People want, stories. It drives the
Steelers the Steelers aren't helping anybody at all by having no. We're not saying anything about quarterbacks. We are not saying a thing. We're just kind of sitting back and watching things happen.
But what could you even say? What could you even say without any kind of a deal? They've already said that they hope to bring one of the two back. They're not going to ever drop names of who they want because then you sound desperate. So I don't even know what they say.
Well, Dave, you said, we're not going to out who you talked to, but in general said that Omar's not happy with the choices. So he's, so my thing is, and I said this when we were in prep, like, is there kind of like this little civil war thing between Omar Khan and Andy Weidel and Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith? Like, is Andy Weidel going, look, you fucking idiots. Like, this is not good enough. We got to go out. We got to go get somebody if you really want to give this a shot. So I do wonder if that's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah, I was told Omar Khan's not fond of either one, Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. He wants to go another direction. We'll see if it ends up happening.
I feel like Weidel must think, like, let's build in the trenches. That was so much his MO in Philly. Do you know what I mean? And And like, I think Jalen Hurts, like, I'm not knocking the kid. I'm a Bama fan, but I feel like the team he's on makes him look so much better than he really is. Do you know what I mean? He's not the most talented quarterback in the NFL, but he's, they've set him up in this fantastic, situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
not going to say a word. I'm just going to leave it.
No. The pockets that Hurts got to throw out of. I mean, the aerial shots they showed.
And the talent.
I'm sitting there like, oh my God, that's just so gorgeous. And they were different depending on the play. You could see the offensive linemen were giving him holes. I was like, I was so envious of that. But that I absolutely agree. I'm like, there aren't many NFL quarterbacks that shouldn't play really well with that kind of a pocket. You get that kind of a pocket, you should be an excellent NFL quarterback. You have no excuse at that point.
Yeah.
How much of this is pressure? Are the Steelers finally feeling pressure after losing playoff game after playoff game after playoff game, and now they're taking bigger shots because Russell Wilson and Justin Fields aren't good enough to get them there. If it is, I hope it is, because it's about time. We've been riding this, no losing season thing forever. And
I was going to say, is Omar creating the pressure? Is he telling Mike Tomlin, no, man, no, you go back to the drawing board? No, it's not going to work. I'm not going to run it back. Although, honestly, I think it was this morning Fields posted on Instagram in the jersey. I still think that's the best option. But, trading for Trevor Lawrence it would be interesting. It's a lot of cap commitment. Trading for Kyler Murray is a lot of cap commitment. Beyond that, if we start talking and throwing out trades, then, first of all, let's just be honest. Even though Trevor Lawrence hasn't necessarily played great and Kyler Murray, fits the NFL around his Call of Duty schedule, that at this point, if you're going to make that kind of commitment, you got to have a willing trade partner. I don't know that Arizona, especially the way Kyler Murray played this year, I thought he played pretty good. And Trevor Lawrence, I think they're going to give Liam Cohen. Could you imagine Liam Cohen seeing that this morning? And if he wasn't involved in it, thinking, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. And why did I take this job?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they also cited that too, didn't they? That they brought him in specifically to work with Trevor Lawrence, right? Yeah. So, okay.
I guess Michael DeRocco. He's the future of the team. I don't know what else they would say. I feel like even if you don't think that, you kind of have to say that, or all of a sudden you're in the Myles Garrett situation where you've been outed by your player almost, or outed by a situation, and you lose your, any leverage you have. So, Aaron Rodgers also got brought up in the chat, and so I think it's worth, we've talked about him before, so I'm almost hate to talk about him again, but he keeps coming up like a bad penny as a possibility to be selected by the Steelers, and the Jets officially announced today that they plan to move on from him. So, that kind of closes the chapter on that book, and the Steelers, would have the opportunity if they wanted to explore that. I thought it was interesting. Aditi was on a CBS show today, and she said she doesn't see the Steelers going in this direction under any circumstance. She said she chatted with Rodgers, and she said, I'm not gonna say exactly what he said. You can read between the lines, but he's not interested in being anyone's mentor. He's not interested in that role anymore. And the Steelers have been very open about needing offensive leadership. And, that was part of what they liked about Russ. And so, maybe he's not that guy. You know what I mean? He told her that he is only interested in going into the exact right situation, which she took to mean like one where you're going to win a Super Bowl. And, maybe Pittsburgh's not just an Aaron Rodgers away from that. So I did an article on that today, and I thought it was interesting that the Jets did better when Aaron Rodgers was injured that season than they did the season that he played for them in 2024.
Well, I was going to make the point. I don't know if Aaron is in a position to pick his spots anymore. He's going to take what's there.
Right.
He's not Aaron Rodgers from 5 years ago, where he can just snap his fingers and make it happen. He's going to have to come hat in hand.
He might have to.
Yeah, he's going to have to beg for a job at this point because he's been so bad the last couple of years. So
that's why I said I don't think it's going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. They're not.
Dave, I think Justin Fields is the favorite, and I think he's second, man. I really do, because there's no one else.
Yeah.
You think Stafford's not coming here? There's no way Stafford's coming here.
No.
Pick your quarterback. No one's going to sign here. The big free agents.
Know what we think about the Jets telling Rodgers he needed to be at every workout, etc., and no media, and he said no. Do you feel okay with that for Pitt?
Every team's going to say that to him now. He doesn't have the leverage anymore.
No.
He's not Aaron Rodgers 5 years ago.
I agree with you.
So if he can't deal with it, he's going to have to retire.
Well,
that's a new coach too.
Yeah, but it could also be. There is no secret he does not want to be back with the Jets, and I don't think it's a secret the Jets don't want him back. So that could just be a power play. You're going to report to everything. Well, okay, I'm not. Okay, well, at least wear purple socks. Nope, not doing that either. It could just be a way to say, I don't care what you say, I'm not doing it, so you better release me. And if you're dumb enough to carry me into the season, oh boy, are you going to have problems.
But he did stuff like that in Green Bay. Remember when he didn't report that time, and they had to go to like LA and find us in like a homeless encampment on the street or something. and like, getting back
that was a darkness retreat. Come on, he was meditating.
I think he was with Joe Manganiello or one of those guys. It was like I was in LA and ran into him, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be at camp?" And he was like, "No, I'm not doing that right now."
Well, Fields has been posting a lot of pictures on Instagram of him in Steelers uniform, so I don't know if that's like symbolic or cryptic or what the hell he's trying to say. But he today he posted another one of him in a Steelers uniform, so it's just like,
Well, if you look at the,
can't imagine.
go ahead, Zach.
Go for it. But, I can't imagine. Really, I can't imagine a Mike Tomlin quarterback on Pat McAfee every single week, just freely talking about whatever he'd like.
Omar and Mike Tomlin are on McAfee a lot too.
Grab him and pull him off. So
not as much as he is, though.
No, not as much as no, not at all.
And they don't say
that Rodgers coming would mean that we definitely get Adams and Lazard and all those guys. Do you think that
I'd stop at Adams?
Really a package deal?
I'd stop at Adams. I don't want the whole group. You bring Adams, and then the rest of those guys, forget it.
If you look at the Vegas odds, the Steelers are the overwhelming favorite, but then it's the Raiders. I can't see him going there.
He's not going to the Raiders.
And talking Devontae Adams back into it. Yeah. The 49ers, I don't understand why they would be favorites.
He'd be a backup.
Why are they so high?
He wouldn't be the backup. He would not be the backup.
He's not going to be any of these backups.
They're not going to bring him and start him over Purdy. There's no way.
Yeah, and they
let Purdy go.
Get out of signing Purdy. Sorry.
All right, that could be a possibility. But I would rather Purdy.
Didn't they just say they really wanted to sign Purdy? Like we're hoping to make him.
That's
what I thought I heard that. So
yeah. I don't.
You never know.
But then you got the Vikings for some reason. I mean, they got two. Well, technically, Darnold's not under contract.
These are the odds, Bob.
Yeah, but they got Jason McCarthy that they drafted in the first round. They're not going to. There's no place for them to go. That's what I'm saying. It's Pittsburgh or bust.
Well, I don't know. The Titans are interesting because their GM and Rodgers were together in Green Bay. So it's either they love each other or they hate each other, and that's bullshit. The Colts is very interesting.
That one might be a little bit interesting. That one I could see.
And the Rams.
Oh, that's interesting too. That's interesting too.
What do you guys think
first
about
one that actually everything?
If the Niners sign Aaron, do you want us to sign Purdy?
Hell no.
He's a system he's a very good game manager and a system quarterback, and we don't have a good system enough for him right now.
Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and all those guys.
If we had the team that Big Ben came into, that would be a great thing to bring Purdy into. Purdy wouldn't have to do much, but you ask Purdy to do too much, it doesn't look Purdy. I made a joke.
Well played. Well played.
Yeah, definitely the Steelers are for all intents and purposes, it doesn't really happen, but they're supposed to be a vertical offense. That's what it's designed for. And Purdy's definitely a West Coast guy. I could never see him fitting unless Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith left town.
Right?
Maybe we should have that a loser leave town match between Purdy, Tomlin, and Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
I like his story too, Relic, but that doesn't make him like a great fit for Pittsburgh. Do you know what I mean? It's not a knock against the kid. In my opinion, I just don't feel like he's the best fit for what we need.
Would be the ultimate fuck you to Kenny Pickett.
That would be.
What about
Now I like it. Now
Steelers Nation had an article about Kirk Cousins. What do we think about Kirk Cousins?
No.
I did see an interview with him.
We had a hand in making him look bad last year. We know what he really is.
I saw an interview with him where he said he hurt his shoulder in like week 2, and he was never the same. So
he's injury prone now, damaged goods, and
old,
expensive.
And it's hard because I really, really like Cousins. That stupid quarterback show made me like him so much.
Yeah,
I don't want him. I wish him well, but not in Pittsburgh.
I'd consider it if all else failed. If my boy Aaron retired, and a few other things happened. I mean,
guaranteed to stretch the non-playoff win streak.
Did you just refer to Aaron Rodgers as your boy?
Oh man,
that's my guy. That's the guy I think is going to be the quarterback.
You did it now. You're in trouble, Dave.
Hey, I just want to know, did Zach set up? Sorry, I just want to know if Zach set up.
Zach drew up in his mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
we're getting
Leah.
used to the idea of us,
Let
guys.
that moment die, but we had to go back to it, and now it has legs. Oh, wonderful.
I mean, there's no perfect answer. You know,
Well,
the
honestly,
Jaguars said
perfect
no, so we're
answer is-
screwed.
Well, it's if we don't get Justin Fields, to me, everything else is something we're going to have to talk ourselves into being okay with.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It's Justin Fields, or well, like maybe it'll work. That's the difference to me.
Well, they can just keep giving it a try with other teams. Let's see what we can do here.
Call the Chargers, see how they feel about Herbert. Couldn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
Since we're shooting our shot.
Yeah.
I wonder if Jameson Williams can play quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, he would be entertaining.
The show, at least that I remember, and he says Cousins is a dome guy, which I do think.
Thanks for cleaning it up.
Yeah. Charlotte says Cousins was DC's biggest fumble. And Charlotte's not old enough to remember the many, many fumbles DC has made over the years, but that was certainly one of them. So Relic asks, if any quarterback is a great fit for the Steelers, though, with our coaching staff, we've had multiple quarterbacks and won nothing. Anyone is going to be the same, it seems. Do you guys agree with that? It doesn't matter what quarterback you pick?
I mean,
we'd fuck up Patrick Mahomes?
Nah, that'd be hard. But
yeah, I was gonna say with
that
him,
would be hard.
Although he doesn't play
Justin
defense.
Fields. It's why Justin Fields is the best, because it's not the superstar answer. He's not the future. He's not the savior of the team. So I think people immediately jump to that when you're like, oh, it should be Justin Fields. Like, well, I don't want him forever. But for this year, he's good enough to get around our bad blocking. He's got a great arm as long as they don't call the throws back. So he's the best, because other than that, we're going to reach. We are going to reach and get ourselves in trouble. And I don't want that.
What about Daniel Jones? Anybody go for him? Anybody? He's a free agent.
Over Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Better than
over Kirk Cousins, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd agree with that too.
Yeah,
I would agree with that too. Over,
younger,
Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, you guys don't like Aaron Rodgers, so
I do.
What do you
do? I like older. Like older.
There's just not great options. Do you know what I mean?
There really
We're
isn't.
looking at this like having a bridge until we can get the next guy, and your choices. You're not going to get like the Golden Gate Bridge, so you're looking at like one of those rickety suspension bridges that swing a whole bunch, or like maybe one like the early pioneers built over a river that's like out of boards.
Yeah.
Great analogy. You just have to pick the least shitty one. And I kind of feel like that's where we are. I agree with Zach about Fields. I just think he's, of all the choices, do you know what I mean? He almost feels to me like the best one, because at least he can protect himself a little bit if the offensive line flounders. And there is a possibility that he could get better and be decent. You know what I mean? There's at least a possibility. I don't think any of us think Russell Wilson is going to like drastically improve with another year under his belt.
Yeah, look at. I mean, Justin Fields. You got the advantage of being a good soldier, good teammate. They seem to like him. He handled what happened to him well. And yes, everything you guys just said, he can protect himself and, in my opinion, perhaps overcome with raw talent some of the coaching mistakes that are going to happen. Or, and I don't know how Dave feels about this, but this is how I feel about it. Or you go get the best veteran quarterback, which flip a coin, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, who is going to come in and say, these are coaching mistakes. I'm not doing this, and I dare you to bench me. So that's why I want Aaron Rodgers, because I think he would be out there like Ben was, and I think Matt Stafford would do this too, of, we ain't doing that, and then just do it, and then turn around and walk to the bench and say, go ahead and put Skylar Thompson in. I dare you.
Well, we've talked about this before. That was the beauty of Ben Roethlisberger, right? He had some bad calls over the years and some bad offensive coordinators, and he just, he'd take the game on his own shoulders and call his own plays. That seems to be an answer. I don't know if it's the best answer, because Mike Tomlin's not the Mike Tomlin of 5 years ago either. He might bench Aaron Rodgers if he doesn't listen. He might be that crazy, right? I mean,
look, this situation's just fucked. Let's just call it what it is.
Someone made the point to me today. If you're willing to give up a 1 and a 2 for Trevor Lawrence, why not just offer that to the Tennessee for the number 1 pick and throw something else in. See if you can get the number 1 pick. Tennessee said they're shopping it. I don't know if this is the year.
I hope not.
You know, I kind of like Cam Ward. I don't know how you guys feel about Cam Ward. I don't know if he's.
It's right. It's right back to a reach.
No.
We need so many other things that it makes no sense. We have food at home. Okay,
Right.
we don't have to go to. We have food at home. We don't have to go to McDonald's. We have Justin Fields at home.
Wasn't he compared to Jameis Winston though?
That's the beauty of it, Dave. That's the beauty of it. To have Jameis Winston. Well, he throws a lot of picks. He does.
Okay.
He risks it. But the kids.
I'm just throwing it out there. If that's his comp, NFL, QB comp, I don't know.
If I was going to do it, I would take Sanders. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I would take Sanders for sure because I love what Dion said when he was talking about him last week before the Super Bowl. Is he's never had it good. He's everywhere he's been. There's been problems, and bear in mind this is Dion coaching his kid, admitting that he didn't have it good. I didn't do a great job of putting the best talent around him, and he still performs. So I think there's a lot of validity to that argument. I wouldn't trade up for either one of these quarterbacks, but if I was going to trade up, I would trade for Sanders, not Ward.
Merrill Hodge was on DVE this morning, and he made a really good point. They were talking about the quarterback situation, and he said, he thinks in general, not just the Steelers with Kenny Pickett, but in general, he thinks one of the biggest issues in the NFL is this tendency to reach for these guys higher than where they're meant to be taken, and then this massive letdown that comes. He said, because if the quarterback has a serious problem, something that they do wrong, that he's not talking about, like adjusting your grip a little bit or something, but a serious defect, you can't make that go away. You know what I mean? He said, so like Chuck Noll used to always say, I'll take a football player, a guy who's a true football player over some guy who has the best technique or who has 1 or 2 mistakes. He's like, you can't fix something like that. He said it's just too hard. And he said, and that's the problem. He said that was the problem with Kenny Pickett. You take this guy that has these deficits and you try to fix him, and he's not fixable. Maybe he's fixable to the extent of being like a solid backup or something, and maybe every once in a while somebody exceeds your expectations.
But they used a first-round pick on the guy. Like that's
right.
Like,
and that's what he was saying. It's what he was saying. He said, it was just a huge mistake. He said it's not even a hindsight is 2020 thing. He said and all the teams tend to do it. You're desperate for a quarterback. There's so few options. It's like playing the lottery. You see that guys like Tom Brady get taken late and are successful, and you try to read too much into their skill, and you think, oh, these little things he does wrong, we can fix those. We can coach that out of him.
Yeah, and how much confidence do we have of this coaching staff coaching something out of a quarterback?
Well, now that Pat Meyer's definitely returning, I feel better about everything. Absolutely.
Don't give me bullshit.
What about this? Would you trade up for Dante?
No.
Have we not learned our lesson?
Hold on. Sorry, guys. Leanne, yes, if it's in the second round.
He's not getting a second round. He's going to be gone in the top half of the first round.
I would be more interested in the second round than in the first round.
Yeah. What ifs? If somebody does drop, it's happened.
Yes.
People dropped.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm kind of at with that, Bob. Not the first round.
Well, yeah, if he
does drop second round,
if the first round's over, and then you're the next day you're thinking that we got to trade up, then I could see that.
Yeah.
But I like the kid out of North Carolina, Amarian Hampton. I love that kid. That's my new draft crush. You're going to be hearing me talk about that guy for a while. He's a great running back. I'd
rather have a drafted young running back who comes into Pittsburgh with low or at least neutral expectations rather than someone we trade up for or someone we get in the first, because I don't trust us Pittsburgh as a fan base to have another running back that we take with that kind of pressure on him. It did not work well with Najee. There's plenty in this draft that we don't need to reach for. And I think anything like that, and other than Gentry in the second round, because that would just be a steal, and that unnecessary drop. I agree. He's there. That's the best player available kind of thing.
I heard somebody compare Gentry to Christian McCaffrey today. I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa.
Really?
He is worth
Christian
the first
McCaffrey?
round. They say he's going to run 4.3. They say he's going to run 4.3 at the combine. He's a good receiver out of the backfield. He's smooth.
It would be great, but
I don't know. I just don't see it.
Where you'd have to get him for us wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I remember talking about. I'm sorry, go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say, here's a shameless plug for if you guys haven't watched it, go watch it. Dave did another interview with Tony Pauline, and it's awesome. If you guys haven't watched it, it's very entertaining.
Thank you, Bob.
And Pauline he's got some nice things to say about Omarion Hampton, and there's some other good stuff in there too. If you watch my mock draft this week, I traded down with Buffalo, who I don't know how real that is, but trade back to the 30th pick, and with our first 3 picks, I got Ravel, Jaden Higgins, and Caleb Johnson. If we could get Caleb Johnson in the second round rather than reaching, I don't know if he falls that far either, but Caleb Johnson is a really nice player. If you guys haven't watched him, I like him a little better than Omarion Hampton, who is good too.
That first 3, that's yeah.
Wait to go watch Dave's interview until after this show is over. That way.
Yeah.
Don't leave right now.
Yeah, don't leave now.
Let's get back to Aaron Rodgers for a minute, because I want to bring up an unusual Steelers players comment that was made. Deshaun Elliott was asked about this, and he said, leave his ass at the retirement home. And so, I think that's a pretty strong indictment from a player on a team. Look, I'd be pissed if my players were running their mouths like that. I got to be honest. Stephen A. ripped him apart for it, said he should shut his damn mouth. Yeah. I have to say I agree. It's not his place, because what if we did get Rodgers? Then you got to work with him. So
exactly.
Look, but I thought it was interesting that he
somber.
And you know what, Somber? Maybe they did. Like, we can't say this, so you can say this, and you'll start next season.
He's entitled to his opinion. Obviously, I don't agree with it, but
but you shouldn't say it out loud. You shouldn't say it out loud, bro.
Because what happens if he does become the quarterback?
There's a real possibility this happens. There's rumors your head coach loves the guy. So why the fuck would you say that?
Yeah.
This is just another example of players not being disciplined and not knowing to keep it in house, and they just chirp, and it's just like.
Well, was it him? Somebody else? Was it him that made a comment once before
about something? You're right. He did say.
Wasn't it him that said something once before? And why would he say that? Was it about them not communicating? Was he the one that said that they weren't communicating?
Yep.
Isn't it possible Elliott and Queen are just realizing the grass wasn't greener, and maybe they made a mistake going to Pittsburgh, and they're sounding off because they figure that, hey, this is how we could maybe get some change?
There's rumors both players on both sides are not happy. They don't like the direction. They don't like the message. They don't like any of this stuff. So, it could be.
So I think their frustration just gets the better of them.
Keep it in-house.
Keep it in-house is always a good idea.
But keep it in-house, please.
Yep. And also, I'm curious about the timestamp, because nothing good happens after like 2 a.m. when you're just scrolling Instagram. So I'm curious about what time that happened and what drink was sitting next to him.
Right,
I'm just curious about the situation.
Yeah, get some sleep, bro. Don't stay up that late.
Tomlin's right. Wasn't he the one that called Tomlin Osama bin Tomlin?
Yeah, he did. Yes, he was.
I forgot all about that.
That's what it was.
That's right.
He actually had Tomlin's face with bin Laden's beard.
They made him pull it down, right? Or he pulled it down himself.
They did.
Stupid. So what do you think that the team, what do you think the team's response should be when something like this happens? Like anything, just like don't draw any more attention to it, deal with it privately.
As a PR
don't
guy?
say a thing. Yep, don't say a thing publicly and ream him privately.
Yeah.
That's what you do. Just, let him know that if I understand you feel that, scream it at the screen as much as you want. Call me, yell it to me. Don't put it out there again.
See,
that's what I hope happens.
I'd be the PR. If I'm the PR guy, I'd go, no. You're going to put out one of two things. Either one, guys, haha, I was just kidding. I love Aaron. Or two, guys, I got hacked. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Someone got access to my account. My bad.
I got hacked would always be my excuse. It might be my drunk ego, but I got 100%. Hacked would always be my excuse.
100%.
Yeah, that's terrible.
The only thing I would say is you could potentially exacerbate the situation if he's already unhappy and he's doing these public things and you go at him too hard, even privately, he might turn around and get worse. And just then we get into, arguably our best defensive player last year, all of a sudden, is doing everything he can to get out of town. And I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just, hey, it was a flip comment. I said what I said. And okay, fine. I apologize and all that good stuff. In theory, it all sounds good. But what I'm starting to worry about is guys are chirping. This is not typical for the Steelers. Chirping on the Steelers, I think, is a symptom of really fundamental problems.
I wouldn't tiptoe around him. If he had a good season, but he's not irreplaceable. If he's going to keep chirping, I'd send him packing. If he's going to be a problem, he's not.
Your contract.
Well, then we really need a safety.
Yeah, then you got to replace him. But I mean, he's not T.J. Watt. But
right.
If you keep chirping, you can hit the road, and then we'll find somebody else. So,
it makes me worry more than about Tomlin, but about Terrell Austin, that doesn't have good control over that group, or a good his fingers on the pulse of that group. Do you know what I mean? That we keep hearing so many comments coming out about the defense. So like, even more than Tomlin, I'm not the one to like go comparing coaches to old coaches because it's pointless. But
do it, Leanne. Do it.
No, I think with other defensive coordinators, we just haven't heard stuff like that, including under Mike Tomlin. Do you know what I mean? If it was a fundamental Tomlin breakdown, I think it would have been happening all along. I think you're always going to have players who are disgruntled, who are frustrated. I mean, AB was like the top wide receiver in the league, and he wasn't happy. Do you know what I mean? So you're always going to have people like that. So I think it's just a matter of, how you, in your groups, how you talk to them about handling those things, I used to tell my teachers, you can call me and tell me anything you want, and I won't be mad at you. I won't write you up for it. You can vent to me. You can cuss. You can say whatever you want. But if you say that stuff to a parent or say that stuff to another staff member or to the public, like, then we're going to have an issue,
Yeah, so, definitely a difference.
I got an easy fix for all this. Hire Jared Mayo as a special assistant to the head coach, and anybody who mouths off has to fight Jared Mayo in the parking lot. He's willing.
Pickens has done worse, and nothing's happened to him, so other players see that and demonstrate.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. That's a great point.
I think we're making an assumption that nothing happens.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
Has Pickens really mouthed off?
No.
I mean, he's kind of silent when he does his dumb shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, he has mouthed off in the past, not this past season, though.
Well, like online, or
I wouldn't say he said like overtly negative things about like.
I thought he did.
Yeah, he doesn't talk much.
Yeah, I mean, he acts a fool on the sidelines. But
he's done some stuff.
I think that's more. He's yelling on the sidelines kind of thing. I guess I'm trying to think. I thought he said something a while back.
And he does say, isn't he the one who said like the Browns or the Browns or?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He was right about that.
Right, and he's not wrong. So he does some stupid stuff like that. But then we always lose. He says stupid shit, and then we lose.
Yeah,
I
think we've talked about this.
Posting in the snow.
I think that is the standard on every team in the NFL, for every sport in the world. If you were the best player,
absolutely,
you can get away with whatever you want.
Yeah. You get special treatment. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
in Pittsburgh, the standard is slightly above the mean.
Yeah,
we talked about it in prep before we got on. This has been, I think we've talked about this before too. This has been a rough season for Mike Tomlin. He's getting it from every direction. I know we're going to bring this up later, but Patrick Peterson.
Yeah.
Took a shot at him this week, and those guys are tight. Those guys are supposedly buddies. And Patrick Peterson said something to the effect their offense is in the 90s and they need to spruce it up or get into the. This is like every week somebody takes a shot at Mike Tomlin now, and you wonder what the effect of that is, because it's some of our own players, some of former players, some national media. It's coming from every direction. It's got to be affecting them. Someone's got to be hearing this.
I hope the pressure is being applied some way, somehow, by someone. Like, I don't know.
So here's the quote from Peterson. It says, "I feel like Pittsburgh needs to shake up the offensive style a little bit. It's still back, the way they were calling plays. It's still in the 90s. Now you want to be a little more innovative. I won't necessarily say trick plays, but have a little bit more spice in your offense, a little bit more eye candy. Having some motions, having some shifts, things like that, to be able to get your playmakers involved in the game."
Yeah.
As opposed to a sweep to CPAT. Yes.
And this
absolutely.
Ted Jones put this up. Pickens did say he didn't believe in the offense going into next year. Remember that last interview that he did when they asked
controversial.
him, do you believe in this offense going forward? Yeah, all right.
The problem was he was speaking the truth. So that one, it's like, I give him a pass. It is. Hey, good job. Way to speak the truth.
Hey, I do want to quibble with Pat Peterson real quick. Calling plays like the 90s. You know, I'm sorry, but Chan Gelly was a way more innovative offensive coordinator, and the Steelers' offenses were way less talented, but they were much more interesting back when the 90s under Cowher.
Who'd we lose?
We lost Dave.
There's Dave.
Huh? Somber says, I'm putting myself in Elliott's shoes. We just get embarrassed with a guy that's arguably better at quarterback. Why would I want someone older and less mobile that's more work on my guys, meaning the defense? I don't think he's wrong. I just think maybe, it took me a long time to learn to say you can't say everything that pops into your head.
Yeah, and the less mobile thing with Rodgers is actually, if you watch him, he doesn't run. But he doesn't stand still, especially for a guy coming off an Achilles. He's a little more stationary than he was. But behind the Jets' offensive line, he had to move around a lot. So all the arguments people made for Russell Wilson with the 26-8, Rodgers was 28-11. I mean, we talked about it the other day on the podcast. If you want to throw the ball over the middle, if you want the intermediate passing game, there's very few guys. Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers. Those are the only two guys who could come to town and bring that element of the game. And bear in mind, it won't be the play design, but they'll do it anyway.
Bob, do you think who would do better behind the O-line we just had this season, Rodgers or Wilson? Who do you think would have done better?
Oh, Rodgers.
You guys think Rodgers? Okay.
Because he gets the ball out.
I'm just asking because of the fact, Wilson wasn't as fast as he thinks he is. He couldn't get outside the pocket enough.
No.
I think without weapons, I don't think it would matter which quarterback we have.
Do you think? What I'm saying is, do you think Rodgers could get out of the pocket better than Wilson and find the open guy? That's what I'm asking, really.
I think where you would see the huge difference, and I still feel like this is the reason there was actual friction between Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith. It's the pre-snap reads. It's I can walk up to the line, take a look at. I know what the play is called for, but I also know that of the 4 routes that are going, I know which one's going to be open, and he's not going to take 4 seconds to figure it out. He's going to get the ball out very, very quickly. Or, frankly, if you watch Rodgers' whole career closely, he's just going to say, this ain't going to work, and he's going to throw it 20 yards out of bounds.
Okay.
I've seen all I need to see from Russell Wilson. I don't.
Yeah. I don't.
Well, no, I'm not making the point for Russell Wilson to come back.
No, I know you're not.
Comparing the two older guys, and if you think that either of them would be, if you think Rodgers would do better than Wilson behind this O-line, is my point in this. That's all.
He gets the ball out quicker. He's more decisive.
Because that's my problem with Rodgers.
That he can see the middle of the field. I mean, I know we make a lot of jokes about Wilson's height, but when he was more successful, he was more agile, a little bit faster than he was, now. But Somber also says you have to keep in mind how Rodgers is seen talking to his players. Who would want to play for that guy?
I don't know. Devontae Adams loves him, follows him everywhere. There's a lot of guys that follow him everywhere.
It just depends.
He's a lightning rod. Some people like him, some people hate him.
Yeah, I can see it both ways. Some like him.
The upside, he can get coaches fired, so all the Tomlin haters should root for him.
I mean, yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah,
I will say this: if Pittsburgh fans are upset with consistent 9 and 8s and all that, I don't think you guys can handle a scorched earth fallout. Like, you'll get entertainment with Rodgers for a season, and if everything goes to hell, the amount of the lack of faith that the fan base has legitimately in the ownership right now. My question is, how does that compute with, we're going to be able to rise from the ashes? The overhaul is, like, to me, like a decades-long thing if you actually burn it to the ground. So that's my only concern for this fan base. I don't know if any.
I'm ready for hell.
Somber might be.
Somber, I'm with you, buddy.
Most of us are. I'm telling you, they have no idea.
Zach, one thing you got to remember too is, like, let's say, like, when Cowher took over, and this isn't a direct comparison, but Noel's teams, 3 out of 4 losing seasons, really bad. He had the 1 year where they forced him to change coaches, but then he had 2 really bad years going, well, really bad, 7-9 with that talent, whatever. But then Kara came right in and won the division. It's not a 10-year rebuild. It's not. And first of all, if it takes 10 years to rebuild, you definitely got the wrong people in place in the organization. Look at Washington, 3-14 to this. All you got to do is get a couple of things right.
That's ignoring all the stuff that happened in the years preceding it. It wasn't like they were decent and then went 3-14 and found success. They've sucked since the 90s. They've struggled. Do you know what I mean?
But
they had a bad
owner. I don't count
all of these fans that are complaining are saying we have bad ownership.
Yeah. I would agree.
Well, it's different. But, I mean, that's different bad ownership.
What's the difference? Do you know what I mean?
Comparing Rooney's to that clown
quarterback play was definitely one.
That owned the Redskins.
QB play definitely helped them a lot.
Yeah, I agree with Dave.
I mean, it can go bad.
Of Snyder and Rooney.
They can go bad and make mistakes. And this could be bad for a long time. But this spinning on the hamster wheel, it just doesn't do anything for me. We know that what's going to happen at the end of the season before the season even starts. They're going to go 10-7, 9-8, and they're going to lose in the playoffs. I mean,
I guess my question is ownership is not going to change. Like that's 1,000% not ever going to happen. I don't think. Right. I can't imagine the world where that the team is not controlled by a member of the Rooney family. So if we don't trust the Rooneys to make these decisions, do you know what I mean, that improve the team, then what difference does it make if we fire the head coach? What difference does it make if we lose next year so we can get Arch Manning or whoever in 2026? If we don't have to develop a quarterback, I mean, I don't ever hear anything from anybody that's so angry that makes me feel like there's any hope.
I think
it's tough. It's tough.
That's basically the point.
The next one.
Right, so then what? What is it? I don't understand then what people, you know what I mean? If
I get what you're saying.
All the way to the top and the top isn't good enough, then whatever changes.
It's talent. I mean, if you hit on the talent,
you could win despite
shortcomings. That's the way I look
You can win with Tomlin, but you need a quarterback.
Yeah.
We need a quarterback.
And competent coordinators. He won with competent coordinators.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's my thing.
I can keep backing off from that a step. Do you know what I mean? I know some of the inside guys say that, well, how do you manage that? Well, you know how you fucking manage that. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on now. We can tell if he's micromanaging the coordinators who certainly are, can.
Yeah.
Keith Butler.
Justin Fields with the interest in Sunshine. Do you think that hurt any chances they might have had with Fields?
No.
No, I don't think it would. And let me be very clear, Bob. I really hope you're right. I genuinely do. I hope I am so wrong, and that if it is burnt down, that rebuild is like that. It's just my genuine concern about the ownership. And when the next Rooney steps in, I think that'll be the breath of fresh air that might be needed to get some of the cobwebs off. So until that happens, that's my concern. I don't know how far off we are from that.
Well, to Somber's point, if I'm Justin Fields, at some point, I start taking it personally. I mean, you benched me at 4-2. You never gave me a chance to get back in. And now you're looking at all
contract before last season started.
And now you're looking at all these other quarterbacks. At one point, I say, screw you guys.
I mean,
I'm going to free agency.
He posted today Instagram picture of him in the Steelers uniform.
I know he did. He's out of
unless he's playing the game too, I don't know.
You're right.
I get it. I get the point. I get the point.
Stupid.
And look, the Steelers are 8 years into turning into the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are relevant every year, and they are perfectly happy winning, 5 playoff games in 35 years?
Yeah.
They haven't made an NFC championship game in what feels like half a century, even though it's only been 30 years. If we want to go down that road of just, okay, we're relevant to the conversation, we're in the picture, which Art seems pretty content to do, then we turn into Dallas. And my brother is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, and every year he gets pumped up, and every year he's disappointed. That's what we're turning into. And it's kind of a national joke on the talk shows and everything else. Pittsburgh's just not as popular as Dallas. So it is to us. And if you look at the fans in the stands, there's a lot of it, but that's going to start to dry up. When you have a national fan base like the Steelers, if you continue to be irrelevant, we're not going to be on TV. We're going to start to get back, and Art is perfectly happy putting the money in the bank and moving forward. Could it change with Daniel? Yeah, I hope so. But we just saw recently he's not planning to retire. So we've either got to hope lightning strikes and we, like you guys said, we overcome with talent, which is our only plan, or that we get so bad that he has no other choice but to do something.
Well, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I'm encouraged from this news from today. That encourages me that they're willing to take big swings. That's the most encouraging thing I've heard in a year or two. That that makes it seem like they're not happy with 10-7. They want to go further.
Not saying Pat.
Another side to that too, that not only would they make Justin Fields feel bad, but maybe they make Justin Fields think like, oh, maybe I'm not their only option. Do you know what I mean? And I really do want to not learn a new playbook and learn a new system. And, I like being here with Mike Tomlin or whatever it is, then, maybe I have to work with them a little bit.
Okay. That's a good point.
Yeah. I think if he gets an inkling that there's a potential he could be the backup, I think he will really explore.
100%. He wants to start.
Yeah, there's
he'd
going
be
to
dumb not to go to free agency anyway, right? I mean, why wouldn't he go to free agency and at least kick the tires on other teams?
Right.
I mean,
there's got to be at least 4 or 5 teams out there that would be willing to have a serious conversation with him about his services. I mean,
oh yeah,
maybe
we've already heard
maybe he's hoping the Steelers will give him a fair offer.
Yeah, he's got. I mean, and they have to. They're going to have to. I mean, not necessarily overpay, but I think they're going to have to come in with something fair. I think the ship sailed
if we want him,
unlocking him up cheaply for a couple of years when they didn't choose to do it before the season started last year. I think then he would have taken that deal.
I think
I agree.
I think it's a 2-year deal max that they're going to offer him because it's the Steelers.
He can get more. He can get more.
I think they'll guarantee him 1. 2. I think they learned their lesson with Mitch. We're not giving a bridge quarterback a 3-year contract. We'll give him 2.
Yeah,
that would make sense. I hope he takes it, but we'll see. I
all the
hope
evidence
he didn't
points
burn
to
that bridge.
They don't want him, or he's not that high on the list because we heard what I heard about what Omar thinks, and actions speak louder than words. Tomlin benched him and didn't bring him back. So I don't know how much they're invested in Justin Fields. Maybe he's not back. Maybe we were, overthinking it.
They're just not going to be loyal to anybody. They're going to try to find the best possible solution. That'd be great, and I'm for that.
That's craziness out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, put our tinfoil hats on. Maybe Omar is saying, "Hey, you didn't like him, so why do we need to go get him?"
Yeah.
If they decide to show us all by bringing Aaron Rodgers in, I will be so pissed.
Hey, if they're going to keep making efforts for Trevor Lawrence, I'll wrap my whole body in aluminum foil. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
I think worse than Lawrence. I don't want to. I'm worried that what? Okay, so let me ask you guys this: what are you willing to give up for Lawrence? Because I worry about selling the farm for him when we have so many needs. So if you give up too much,
realistic,
so proven, is he? I mean, he's struggled. I understand that the Jaguars aren't good.
Yeah, the Jaguars have been a train wreck.
Sometimes quarterbacks come from college that are fantastic and they don't translate well to the NFL. So I know he's shown some practice. He had some good games last year.
They're going to want a first, at least.
At least
one.
A first and a second. And I do it.
Yep. And I can't give a first.
They won't. I mean, look, I live in Jacksonville. I'm telling you right now, 270 million reasons why Trevor Lawrence doesn't get traded.
Yeah, but we'll just say it theoretically. And would you do it? And,
what would you do?
Yeah, I would. I would do a first and a second because he's a young quarterback. If they don't have a first round pick this year and they struggle this year, that's fine because I have a 25-year-old quarterback franchise. We'll go get a first round pick next year and build a team. We'll sign some free agents. It's the quarterback, man. And if they believe in Trevor Lawrence enough that they think he's a franchise quarterback, then figure out. You got George Pickens. Figure out the rest.
But you ain't getting them for a first and a second. You're gonna maybe 2 firsts and 2 seconds. You might have a chance.
I don't know about that. I'm out on that.
If you want a franchise level quarterback, that's at least the price. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's my point, Bob. They're gonna want a mountain.
Yeah, but he hasn't proven to be that guy. They can't ask for that for him.
They can.
Right.
They can.
They will. They will.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, that's the point. They will.
The struggle on Lawrence is what they did.
The struggle on Lawrence is way overrated. Has he played the best quarterback in the NFL? No. But
I think he's good.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's not Kenny Pickett. He's played pretty well. He's had some good seasons. There's a reason they paid him. They overpaid him to keep him, but there's a reason they paid him. He would have got that money on the open market. He has tools. With the right coach, Peterson, the first couple years, with the right coach, he is a viable franchise and probably a top 12, 15 guy. But yeah, the whole he's Deshaun Watson, he's terrible, he's this. He's
that. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's that bad. I just think he's unproven. To give away like 2 first-round draft picks or something like that makes me nervous on somebody that I feel like isn't proven.
Yeah, from our point of view,
pretty proven. I mean, he's 5 years in. He's got the $275 million contract, and bear in mind
that Deshaun Watson, that doesn't mean that he deserved it. Like, we can't make our benchmark of who we sign and pay based off of what other teams do. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, but bear in mind he also has a 27-0 deficit playoff win where he overcame and won the game in his only playoff victory, and then battled Kansas City into the fourth quarter in Kansas City.
Not saying he's bad. I think he's inconsistent, and I think that
there is something there.
To me, it's like not proven. Do I think he's got talent and he could really be something in the right circumstance? Sure, I think that's possible. But am I willing to risk like the future of the Steelers and we have so many needs? Like, that makes me nervous.
Yeah, no, it's tough from a Steelers fan point of view. Yeah, I get it. I get it from the Jaguars point of view.
I get it from the Jaguars.
This is our franchise quarterback. So I get it both.
They've invested a lot in him. Like,
not 2 seconds, but that's what they'll want.
But of the potential franchise quarterbacks who are available, you could do a lot worse than Lawrence. But you ain't getting Josh Allen. You ain't getting Patrick Mahomes. You start looking around at guys who you potentially might be able to move the needle and get.
That's the point.
Pretty close to the top of that list.
Trevor Lawrence is the top of that list. But he's not available, so he's not on the list because they're not trading him. So now what's left is the $1 million question for this offseason.
Unless you think you can do a Starkey and get Kyler Murray.
I don't
All
like
roads
Kyler Murray,
lead to Fields.
I don't like Kyler Murray.
And he's short. We wouldn't get across over the middle.
He's more athletic, so he gets outside the pocket.
Yeah.
He got a hell of an arm.
I just
am I like high on him? No, but I don't think he's.
And you'd have to give up a lot for him.
Do I think he's better than Russell Wilson? Do you guys think he's better than Russell Wilson?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
Not even close.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to – would he be an upgrade of what we've been dealing with?
Is he better than
Justin
Fields? When you
Fields?
consider money and draft picks, is he better than Justin Fields?
That's the thing. Do we think he's better than Justin Fields?
Then when you combine all that, no, I don't think so.
Well, I think in fairness, you kind of have to say Murray is better than Fields. He's had a pretty good career.
1 for 1, but you're not getting him for nothing. You have to give up picks and
pay him a lot of money.
Rodgers. Is he better than Rodgers?
No,
probably
at this on this particular team.
I got a probably, a no, a yeah. See, like,
it's close because he's younger.
Factors. You're looking at somebody you've only seen play somewhere else, and you're trying to imagine, like, if you pluck him out of that not great team and plug him into our not great team. Do you know what I mean? How do those struggles translate? And there's some luck there. You could pull him out and put him in Pittsburgh and he's great. And you could pull him out and put him in Pittsburgh and he's terrible. I wanted to bring up one more piece of news tonight before we go. So to bring up Greg's comment from earlier that at least Najee won't be back. Right, Leanne? Very funny, Greg.
There's been some rumors.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you guys, what you think about those rumors that have been popping up. I think it was Dulac that said that, he thinks that there's a chance that Harris might return to Pittsburgh or might not return, I guess, stay in Pittsburgh. And I was curious how much you guys believe that. What do you think about it?
I'm clinging to it with every single bit of hope I have.
Me too.
Every bit.
I hope he goes somewhere and balls the fuck out and
we know, Zach.
regret it.
Yep, I'm a
And
Najee
we
fan no
know
matter
the
where
end.
he is.
I think he'll be the best running back in the CFL.
The downside of this is we lost our chance to get him for the price that would have worked,
Right.
and that's we're not gonna overpay for him.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I want Najee back, but
True.
I genuinely, I don't think Najee should give the Steelers a discount.
No,
Because the
he
Steelers
definitely
haven't
should.
done him any favors, so I don't want him disrespected that way.
Well, we could
It's
have
the
had
whole
him,
thing
for 6.5, and now it's going to be what?
It would have
10
been
mil?
great. It would.
For 1 year, six.
It's not.
It's going to be a lot more.
What?
We're not
No,
going to pay him that.
Nobody's going to pay Harris that money. Nobody.
How much?
I mean,
10,
I don't know,
10 mil
man.
per?
they
You
can
don't
pay
think-
him 8. They
I
can
think
pay him
they're
8. Nobody's
gonna pay
paying him 10.
Well, James Conner got 9. He has every argument in the world to say he's better than James Conner.
Yeah.
I don't
So
It's a
I would say, if I'm his
copycat
agent, I say
league.
9's a starting point.
He's
You got
durable.
Henry and Barkley.
He's healthy. He doesn't
Yeah.
miss games. Like at the very least, he has that going for him over Connor. Not to mention
If I'm,
the
yeah, if I'm his agent, I
get-
say
With a
that's
sundial.
I could
That's a floor.
see a team wanting to give him 9 to hit that mark to get him to the team. I could see that.
yeah.
Who?
There's a lot of the Raiders,
The Raiders?
Chargers.
Yeah, there's
There's
a bunch
few
of teams that need a running back. I could see it.
I mean, what's
With
working
this
against him
draft-
is the draft. Yeah, what's working
Oh.
against him is his draft.
Now
yeah.
that's a good point.
That's a that
That
is
Bob,
true.
that's an excellent point. So
Yeah, the draft is
Yeah, that's
definitely
true. So
working against him.
I'd say this. I don't want to give him it. I don't want the Steelers to give him that kind of money.
It's going to be
They
interesting
have-
to see what he gets. It really
And
is.
look at James Conner last year, averaged 4.6 yards a carry, caught 47 balls, scored 9 touchdowns.
James Conner's decent. We talked about it. He's decent.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
I think-
different if it,
When he's
He actually
healthy,
it's
did,
different.
which is not something he's done other seasons. So
Yeah, I mean, between the health, I still think if we're being
we had
honest,
Arthur
Najee's better.
Smith.
But hey, what do
It's-
I know? I want J.K. Dobbins. So what do I know?
I'm
you
on
wanna-
J.K. Dobbins over Najee. I really admitted that last week.
even with the draft, I think there's going to be teams out there that are interested in him because I think that whether you think he's the best running back or not, wherever he falls in the spectrum, I think what you're going to get with him. I think he's shown to be consistent, and you know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah,
He's very
he's solid.
consistent.
He's a
And
solid
so
back.
if you use him properly, I think you can count on what he does well. And I think that some of these teams have a lot of needs. And so looking at a running back in the second or third round might be a luxury they can't afford if they know they can just pay a veteran like Harris $9 million or something. You can just check that off the list. I mean, $9 million is nothing anymore.
The counter is definitely, do you take a chance on a rookie running back compared to knowing what you have? That's the counter. But if you know you can hit, then I can see that too.
At running back, you always go with the younger guy.
And I just see so many teams really genuine, especially maybe first-time GMs or first-time coaches wanting that Barkley, wanting that Henry, especially after last season. Even if it's not everyone, it's a copycat league in some places, and I think people are going to say, "Well, he might not be that, but if we bring him in, maybe we can get some of that out of him as a tandem."
Make him that happens
Yeah.
all the time.
I just think I just think it depends on how you feel. If you don't want to chance the rookie, or or opposite, if you're confident enough you can hit on that pick, you're going to decide either way. I mean, that's how it's going to go.
Look, as far as Najee goes, if you go and look up his yards per carry for last year, he was 50th in the league.
Ooh.
That's not. They're not paying him. I can't see anybody. And if somebody does, it's a mistake. We talked about if Najee did come back for less, like you mash Jalen and Najee's salaries together, and if that number comes up to under $8 million, okay, yeah, then it's not a bad idea. But if you're even paying him the franchise tag,
Somber just said
running back is totally different. Go get a rookie.
$1 million and go to another team before I come back to the Steelers and let you stick it up my ass like that. Absolutely not. That is such total disrespect. There is zero fucking chance that I would ever do that as a player.
Somber said he's hearing 3 for 18. Is that what I just said?
That's what Dulac floated, I think.
Now that I would do. That's only 6
18 is less.
Yeah, that's good. I'd do that deal. That's a good deal.
Yeah. But
I was thinking about this, and I mentioned it to Zach on a couple podcasts ago. Do you think they'd want to re-sign Najee and then shop Jalen Warren? because Jalen Warren is a big time asset that would bring a lot back.
Well, he's a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
You sign him and you trade him. Oh, you trade his rights.
I mean,
you could do that too.
You could go that route. I mean, if you really want to.
He's a big asset. He can bring you something back.
I don't disagree. I think he's a playmaker, absolutely. So I don't know.
He's
I don't
cheap,
know if they'd go.
and he's good.
Maybe the con artist would do something like that.
Oh, let's stop it.
I mean,
let's stop it.
I knew it.
But face it, these guys are signing undrafted free agents. They're doing all kinds of things. Look at Pacheco in Kansas City. I mean, yes, Jalen Warren's a nice back, but I mean, when you say he's going to bring a lot back, he's going to bring a fourth.
No,
hey, Bob, do you have
something.
the whole list of running backs average per carry? What was James Conner's? I'm just curious. I don't know.
I can look it up real quick.
He was $9 million a season average.
No. I'm talking about his
I thought he
carry
said
average.
4.6 yards
per carry. Yeah, I don't.
For
well, he averaged 4.6. I don't know where he falls on the list, but
okay.
We're going to find out.
I was just curious because if Najee was 50th, I'm just curious where he falls on it. If that's the comp we're going for here,
that's not. And if we're being fair, that's not all on Najee. This offensive line was pretty.
Oh no, I mean, yeah,
and the Matt Canada of it all, and then the Arthur Smith of it. Like, there's a lot of reasons why I genuinely feel for Najee's mental health. It's the best for him to be out of Pittsburgh right now, and I genuinely do wish him the best. If he's back, wonderful, because I do have lots of love for the guy. But it wouldn't be good for anyone because of how much we would have to pay him. What it would make I have spent a lot of time working on becoming mildly okay with this and preparing for it.
So I'm going to ban you from this place if you bring up.
I mean, really, that's what I was
Andy
just going
Dalton
to say.
No more Andy Dalton talk, or you're out. I can't do Andy Dalton.
Are we going to talk about special teams?
Oh, we might have to wait for the next one for that.
We might have to save it now that we're at an hour and 7 minutes.
Yeah, the clock's
real quick.
12 o'clock from your guys.
Real quick, Connor was 14th in the league in yards per carry.
Okay.
What was it though? 4.6.
Yep.
And that was 14th.
Yes. Jalen Warren is 25th with 4.3.
Huh. Isn't Dobbins 4.6 as well?
Yep. He was 13th.
Well, interesting.
Yeah, I already told you I would take Dobbins over Harris. I would take him over a rookie. I wouldn't take either one over a rookie.
I want them to cut CPAT and draft one too. That's what I want.
I'm looking for a draft pick.
Yeah,
I know.
Great
draft pick and a UDFA.
I am with you guys 110%. I still want them to draft one too.
Yeah.
There's plenty.
All right, guys, if you've been here tonight joining us in the chat, we really appreciate you. It definitely makes the show so much better. Please take a second while you're here and like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. It helps us out a lot on YouTube to show up for other Steelers fans. You can find all of us on social media. Our Twitter handles are under our names. You can also find the Steelers Sanctuary page and the Steelers Sanctuary podcast page on Twitter as well. If you're catching this on the flip side after it was already filmed, please drop us a comment anyhow and let you know what you're thinking about all of the things we've been talking tonight. We want to hear your thoughts on the various quarterback situations, the future of Najee Harris, whether Deshaun Elliott will ever keep his mouth shut. Tell us what you think. And we will see you on Monday night for our next regular show.
What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to chase after them?
Maybe I'll go to the movies by myself.
Oh. That's just what they'll be expecting us to do.
You should be terrified.
Okay, are you making some of those up?
Nope, they're all real. Probably worth the Google.